the term is changing into alternative reality, alternative facts, alternative reality. And it's working to this monster's advantage. Prince Trump, the ignorant, is a liar about everything. We know that. I mean, that's not a revelation. He also has 60 or 70 million followers on his Twitter feed, which means that his lies are immediately absorbed into the bloodstream of the body politic in this country. Immediately. There's no longer the so-called gatekeepers, the network news or the major newspapers that would report on the filth that came tumbling out of this pig son of a bitch's mouth. Now, whatever he says, and not that he says it, but when he writes it or has somebody write it for him, since he is Prince Trump the ignorant, but when it's written out for him on his Twitter feed, it goes instantly to 70 million people. And a piece in the New York Times by Thomas Edsall talks about 3 crucial developments working in Trump's favor in the 2020 presidential campaign. Now, cynically, I've already written off the 2020 campaign. I honestly believe that either A, through trickery, treachery, and the same shit that he did in 2016, Trump is either going to steal the nomination, or if the Democratic candidate is elected, he will refuse to give up his office. He'll declare a national emergency when it becomes clear that he's been defeated and suspend the results of the election until he just fucking feels like not suspending it, which probably will not happen. I mean, that's just my opinion. But these 3 crucial developments working in Trump's favor, and they include what a group of Harvard economists described in a recent paper titled The Polarization of Reality. Just think about the heading, The Polarization of Reality. This is what these 3 economists wrote, quote, "Evidence is growing that Americans are polarized not only in their views on policy issues and attitudes toward government and society, but also in their perceptions of the same factual reality accompanying it." Factual reality that accompanies any information that's put out by the government or by sources other than the government. It's now this group believes that, looking at the same set of facts, and that group believes this, looking at the same set of facts. And they are polar opposites. As a result, according to these economists, quote, "Republicans and Democrats, as well as Trump and non-Trump voters since 2016, view the same reality through a different lens. In fact, the differences in perception of reality between Trump and non-Trump voters, those differences are wider than between Democrats and Republicans overall." Trump has done something that, to anyone who has respect for the truth or respect for science or respect for reality, he's done something that is just brain-numbing horrible. His followers have no idea what truth is if they are following and believing what Trump says about anything. It's stupefyingly insane what has happened. Edsall goes on to say that the emergence of these conflicting realities explain why Democrats and Republicans hold different views about policies and what should be done to address different economic and social issues. Okay. We've always had a little bit of that, haven't we? But it's been based in political opinion, political belief system. Well, I believe in the welfare state. Well, I do not believe in the welfare state. This is why I believe in it. This is why I don't believe in it. And arguments, rational arguments, can be made either way. I said rational, not humanistic or caring or concerning, but rational arguments can be made either way. Not anymore. Not anymore. Add to the polarization of reality a related development. That is, a large segment of the American electorate has come to tolerate, and in many cases willing to accept, politicians who lie. Unfucking believable. Double talk is key to Trump's governing strategy. Trump knows that most of his followers are stupid. In his opinion, they're stupid. Now, that takes an awful lot of gall for someone as monumentally ignorant as this son of a bitch is to take advantage of the stupidity of his followers. But there's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Where it concerns manipulating other people, driving wedges between groups, Trump is a master. Every dictator has to be a master of that in order to get into power and then to expand and hold on to power. In their 2017 paper entitled Lies, Damned Liars, and Zealots, The Effect of Moral Mandates on Transgressive Advocacy Acceptance. How's that, huh? You like that? Yeah, it was written by two psychologists, okay? So yes, just stick with the first part before you get to the colon. That's what I do. Liars, damn liars, and zealots. The part that comes after the colon is gibberish as far as I'm concerned. But two psychologists, University of Illinois, cite what they call transgressive advocacy. What the hell is that? Well, they define it as norm-violating means. In other words, lying to achieve a preferred end. Well, why'd I just fucking say that, right? Lying to achieve the end result that you want. This is what Trump has done since before he was elected president, and in his business life, as shoddy and fucked up as it was, who cared except the people that he screwed over and took advantage of? But once he became president, then we all care about this lying son of a bitch and the way he heaps lies on top of lies on top of lies in order to achieve what he wants. They add this, these two psychologists. Quote, people's perceptions of other people's transgressive advocacy were uniquely shaped by their moral convictions. Although honesty was positively valued by all respondents, transgressive advocacy that served a shared moral end was more accepted, and advocacy in the service of a non-preferred end was more condemned, regardless of the truth. So what does that mean? That means no matter what your moral upbringing was, and I think about all these so-called Christians that have clustered around Trump like flies around a pool of vomit someplace. Regardless of what your moral upbringing was, if there is a certain outcome that you want to see, political or social, then you will believe absolute lies that are put in front of you. And Trump understands this. Before you will accept the truth. because the truth may not dovetail with your expected outcome, what you want to see happen. Think gay marriage. Okay? You were brought up a Christian. You were brought up to believe that homosexuality is to be condemned. Who put that in your head is immaterial. That's how you were forced to believe. So the irrefutable evidence now is that gay couples, or same-sex couples who get married, usually have more stable lifestyle and lives, married lives, than non-same-sex couples. And who cares whether or not two men or two women get married? What difference does that make unless you're a fucking Christian or a Muslim radical zealot nutfuck who feels you have a right to interject or interfere in somebody else's personal life? So the expected outcome, if you were brought up to believe that same-sex people who fall in love and want to get married is something that those people should be burned in hell. If you're brought up to believe that, no matter the evidence that's shown to you that you're full of shit, you're going to retain that belief and you're going to follow some slimy bastard who advocates shunning, or worse, destroying same-sex couples. The toleration of lying by supporters of political leaders has been central to Trump's success in marketing provable lies and an alternative reality. Think about what Trump has said about some of the institutions, government institutions in this country, whether it was EPA or the FBI or the CIA or the State Department or the Justice Department. The Washington Post fact checker has documented that Trump made 16,241 lies in his first 3 years. And then the third thing, there are advances in the technology of campaigning that allows candidates and parties to communicate below the radar on social media, especially through Facebook and Twitter, which is what I mentioned a minute ago. There are no longer any filters. And if you're a follower, if you're a cult follower, if you would eat Trump's filthy socks, if he demanded that you do it because you're so fucked up in the head, then anything that comes across that Twitter feed that comes from him is more true than what your fucking pastor tells you in your church. It is in the present moment. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to The Ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.